Thank you for tuning in to Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, home of Sean Hannity, Colin Cowherd, Best Shot with Russell Stroud, and this show, Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. I hope you're having a terrific Tuesday, because that means that we're closer to game day. It means that we're 2 days away from game day. The Vols taking on Appalachian State on Thursday. A lot of questions about this season and a lot of optimism, and rightfully so, because you have a team that's talented enough to go the distance. I want to talk about another team in Tennessee that may be talented enough to win their division. But before we talk about those things, let's talk about the platforms. Where can you find us and where can we find you? I highly recommend Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to check it out. Also, make sure you check us out on our website, hotnewstalkradio.com. Make sure you also check out noogaradio.com. That works as well. Also, make sure to check us out on the TuneIn Radio app. That's the TuneIn Radio app, free on your favorite app store and on your mobile device. Simply search Hot News Talk Radio. Search us in the search bar up top. Give us a favorite, press play. You'll have Hot News Talk Radio everywhere you go. I want to talk about the Tennessee Titans somewhat, because I think that we've got to temper our expectations with the Tennessee Titans. There's a lot to see. There's a lot to like in the preseason. The preseason Tennessee Titans are pretty good, but let me put it this way. I don't want to exaggerate everything that they do in the preseason. Like, did you see the way Derrick Henry looked? Did you see the way Marcus Mariota looked? You're playing against base defenses. You're playing against vanilla defenses. Nobody's going to show you their best look. No one's going to show you the true form of their defense in the preseason. It's not about to happen. No one's going to do that for you, okay? It's just not going to happen. So you've got to take preseason results with a grain of salt. However, not too much, because if somebody struggles in the preseason against these vanilla defenses, then you've got a lot to be worried about. And there isn't too much to be worried about, I guess, in that regard, where just people just look awful. So there's that. You can take that preseason assessment and use that for something. But what you can't use it for is to go, oh, the Tennessee Titans look like they were on a roll. They look dominant against the Raiders. I think the Tennessee Titans are going to be a great football team this year. You cannot extrapolate that stuff from the preseason. None of this stuff matters, and everybody knows. It matters if you're trying to make the team. But from a tactical perspective, there are no coaches trying to make the team, so coaches have no incentive to show you their full hand. You've just got to take the preseason stuff with a grain of salt, and I know that the Titans have looked very good, but you just have to back off it a little bit. With that said, and I love, by the way, like when I watch preseason, I love how they talk about guys, taking his first NFL carries. These are his first NFL snaps. No, they're not. They're not the first NFL anything. None of this stuff counts. We're going to forget this stuff. Like, if you dominate in the preseason, we will forget you. I am a Redskins fan. Do you know what that means? Besides the fact that my team name might be racist. Do you know what that actually means? It means that I've watched a team go 7 for 8 in preseason games in 2 years. In 2013 and 2014, I believe, the Redskins won 7 of 8 of their preseason games. Do you know how many games they won in the regular season in those 2 years? Also 7. They won 3 games and then they won 4. I mean, we're not talking about you win the preseason. What does that tell you? That doesn't tell you anything. What it tells you is that you're not horrible. What it doesn't tell you is that you are good. And then as a result, it doesn't tell you how good. So you're looking at the Titans and you're watching Derrick Henry basically beast his way through defenses. And it looks promising and it all looks great. But you've got to take all of that stuff with a grain of salt, like I was saying earlier with all the Dak Prescott stuff, where people are just looking at Dak Prescott and going, I told you he was the best. They should have taken him ahead of Jared Goff. No, they shouldn't have. I don't know about that Carson Wentz. You got to take this stuff with a grain of salt. But that being said, the Tennessee Titans look really good. Like they look good, and because of the talent that they have, you can extrapolate from a little bit of what you've seen in the preseason. I mean, a little bit. And going back to the way that last season was going, if you want to look at the development of a Marcus Mariota, watch how Marcus Mariota became a better quarterback throughout the year. He got a little bit more comfortable going through his progressions. I still don't like the idea that Mike Mularkey has got him going under center more often. He just didn't do it that often. He didn't do it very much last year. He didn't do it in college. And all of a sudden, we're going to throw him under center. And maybe it works, but the rest of the league is moving away from going under center. I think that is a sign that I don't like to see. But when you look at Derrick Henry, he is showing all of the things that you'd like to see with the running back at the NFL level. I've heard things that people are going, well, he could be great, but he could be Trent Richardson all over again. I don't think he can be Trent Richardson all over again. And the reason why I say that is because Trent Richardson was not seeing holes. And it's not like little holes. You know, you're running, a hole opens up and you cut back through the hole. It's not like Trent Richardson wasn't seeing little holes. Trent Richardson was simply not seeing holes I could drive my car through. Okay, my buddy Tristan's got one of the older Ford F-150s, a big old truck. You could actually drive a truck through that. And he wasn't seeing them. And that was in the preseason. I will put it up on the Facebook page. A play from last year's preseason, Trent Richardson with the Oakland Raiders. Dude ran past the hole that would have scored him a touchdown into 3 defenders. This is not Trent Richardson all over again. If you're afraid of that, put that fear to rest. It's not that. If Derrick Henry doesn't make it in the NFL, it'll be some other reason. It's not vision. Okay? It's not vision. And you know what? It's not strength and speed either. I don't know what it is that's left because I think he's got all the tools to make it. But if he doesn't make it in the NFL, it's not because he can't see where to go, which is what Trent Richardson's problem was. Trent Richardson straight up could not see where to go. He's running and you're looking at the TV and thinking to yourself, dude, where are you going? And I understand, like, you have TV and it's in HD and you can see the holes better than him because you're just, looking at the ESPN 360 cam. I get all of that. But some of these holes are opening up and you just got to see them. That's your job. And he just could not see it. Well, I like what I'm seeing out of Derrick Henry in terms of his vision. The holes are opening up and he's hitting the holes. He can see them. That's something you can learn from preseason. That's not going to be over-exaggerated later on. If you can't see the holes in preseason, you sure can't see them in the regular season. Same thing for DeMarco Murray. DeMarco Murray is particularly susceptible to this because he is a one-cut back. DeMarco Murray, when he punches through that hole, there are not a whole lot of moves left. He's trying to run you over or run away. There's not a whole lot left for him. He's not trying to be tricky. He's not LaShawn McCoy. He's going to run you over. And so when he didn't have those going for him in Philadelphia, the way that system was set up, it just didn't suit him at all. It looked bad. I don't think it's going to look bad here in Tennessee. I think that this system suits him just much better than what it did in Philadelphia. And I think it looks good. And all of that running room is going to take the pressure off of Marcus Mariota. And he's going to be able to pass a little bit better because you have to account for those two guys running the ball. And that's something that I can see, and I can tell you, that's going to be good. You don't run well in the preseason and then fail to run in the regular season. I know that there are a number of things that you can do defensively to take guys out of the game, but a guy's either a good runner or he's not. You know what I mean? Like, he either sees the holes, he knows where his blocking is up front, or he doesn't know. And Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray, they know. And you can see it in the way that they run. And Derrick Henry, he runs furious. He runs hard. I like that. I think I like what I see from the Titans. I do. And I think that they have a chance to win this division. Why do I think that they have a chance to win this division? For a number of reasons. One, Mariota, all of the quarterbacks are young. And that says something. That you're not going to have an issue where you look over in the AFC East, I believe it is, and you've got Tom Brady, you've got Ryan Fitzpatrick, you've got Ryan Tannehill, and you've got Tyrod Taylor. And Brady is head and shoulders above all the other guys. He is clearly the best quarterback in the division, and he's the most experienced quarterback in the division. He's got playoff experience, Super Bowl experience, regular season experience, and he's far outclasses all the other guys. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the next most experienced guy, and he's just an average quarterback. The disparity between best quarterback and second best quarterback and the rest of the guys is not as big in the AFC South, where you've got Mariota, you've got Jameis Winston, Jameis Winston is NFC South, sorry. You've got Mariota, you've got Blake Bortles, you've got Brock Osweiler, and you've got Andrew Luck. I've got to see it from Andrew Luck. I've got to see Andrew Luck go out there another year and really prove it. Because when he played last season, he didn't look good. The Colts looked a lot better with Matt Hasselbeck playing quarterback than Andrew Luck. And it wasn't that Andrew Luck regressed or anything like that. Andrew Luck did the same stuff that Andrew Luck's been doing for the first 2 years of his career, which is basically he's very smart and he's got a cannon for an arm. It is a howitzer attached to his body. And when he goes to throw passes, he can fit the ball into tight windows. I think he did a little bit too much. He didn't have the offensive line talent. He's got to get rid of the ball faster than most people. He did too much, and he got away with it the first 2 years. He threw some passes that could have been picked off in those first 2 years. And then the third year happened, and those tight passes, the luck didn't go his way, and he got picked off. And it happens. That's how it went for him. So I don't think Andrew Luck is so vastly superior to everyone else in the division. I'm just not one of those guys that's as high on Andrew Luck. Is Andrew Luck the best quarterback in the division? It's not even close. Okay, this is not an argument for, well, Mariota could be as good as Luck. No, that's not what I'm saying. Andrew Luck is by far the best quarterback in the division. But the distance between Luck and Mariota is not as far as Brady and Fitzpatrick. Even now that Brady is old, we haven't seen his production drop off yet. I have seen Andrew Luck's production drop off when the protection isn't there for him and he starts to force some of those passes. He just makes bad decisions with the football. He needs time just like any other quarterback needs time. And I don't know why we expected Andrew Luck to just be this guy that doesn't need time like everybody else. Probably because he came out and he was so good in those first 2 years. But the Colts offensive line, it really stinks. And I think that limits how far ahead Andrew Luck could be of the pack. Blake Bortles, he's promising. He's good. I think if Blake Bortles turns out to be as good as he can be a Ben Roethlisberger-esque quarterback. He's huge. He's hard to tackle. He's pretty quick. He's strong-armed. He's fairly intelligent. I like all of those things about Bortles, but he's not like leaving the rest of everybody. He's a good quarterback. Brock Osweiler, don't know. We don't know. Sometimes he looks good in the preseason. Sometimes he doesn't look good in the preseason. When he was starting with Denver, he had some great games. He also had some real bad ones. Some real bad games where they had to pull old, tired Peyton Manning to come in for you. You weren't playing good. They didn't want to bring Peyton into the fourth quarter of a game. For what purpose? But Brock Osweiler was about to lose him that game. He just wasn't playing well. So I don't know necessarily what all we're going to see from Brock Osweiler or Blake Bortles. I think that Blake Bortles comes along fairly nicely, and I think that Mariota comes along nicely as well. I just like his weapons better. Albeit that, the Titans have had this problem for ages, which is that at receiver, they just at receiver, the Titans, it's not bad. And certainly the passing game has looked very, I don't want to say dominant, but it's looked fairly prolific during the preseason. But that's where I trust the preseason less. Running is running, right? Like with the blocking schemes work, they work. There's nothing that's going to change that when you run. If you can run well in the preseason, you ought to run fairly well in the regular season. There should be some drop off, but not a ton. Passing the football, that becomes an entirely different equation. That's something that can be night and day from preseason to regular season. I don't know what to tell you about the Tennessee Titans receiving core. They look good in the preseason, but that doesn't tell me anything. What does that tell me? That doesn't tell me anything. And if you want to weigh in with your thoughts, The Hot News hotline is 423-800-8949. That is 800-8949, 800-8949. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think the Titans will be doing this season. I think the Titans could be in play to win the AFC South because of the number of talent they've added, and I really like their draft. Here's the thing. The Titans are under new GM-ship, you should say. Like, they're under new guidance there. So I think the way that they're going to be building up talent, it's going to take a little bit. And I also think that if the Titans don't reach expectations, you've got to, in some small part, blame Mike Mularkey, who is, I just don't see him as that great of a coach. And he's got a lot of weaknesses in that department, especially when it comes to being aggressive. A lot of running the ball, a lot of let's go under center. This is an NFL that is becoming more and more of a passing league. People are throwing 4,000 yards a season regularly. And that didn't used to happen. Okay, we're in a world where Peyton Manning threw 7 touchdowns in a game. And he was the next best guy to do it since Y.A. Tittle. And in the next, like that very season, Nick Foles also throws 7 touchdowns in a game. Like, one of these things is not like the other. You've got to take shots down the field. Okay, if the Eagles are out here doing it with Nick Foles, then you've got a guy like Marcus Mariota who, A, is highly accurate. Okay, always completing around 65% of those passes. Very, very accurate with the football, and has been since college in Oregon, where they love to spread you out, where they love to take those shots down the field. Marcus Mariota has been accurate. And yet, we're here in a situation where Marcus Mariota is not being asked to throw the ball down the field. He's not being asked to take those shots. And we've seen it. People have been very critical of Teddy Bridgewater up in Minnesota, for instance, because Teddy Bridgewater was not taking those shots down the field. And that's like his next step as a development as a quarterback, because Teddy Bridgewater, very accurate, came from a pro-style offense, smart, knew the offense already coming in, and yet caught a ton of flack. Teddy Bridgewater has won, 17 games in his first 2 seasons? He wins. The guy knows how to win. But he doesn't take those shots down the field, so people are very critical of him. And you've got a guy in Mariota where you don't have questions about the arm strength. I just think he's paired with the wrong coach. I just don't think Mularkey is our guy. Which, to be fair, it's very rain on the parade, right? The season has not even started. But I'm talking about hanging over from last season. I'm looking at Mike Mularkey's entire career as a head coach, going back to when he was with the Bills. I wrote the numbers down a while back. Mike Mularkey's numbers, they don't look good. He doesn't even have close to a winning record as a head coach. And maybe you're like, okay, he didn't exactly have some of the best teams to coach. He had one season with the Jaguars where it was just dreadful, and the talent on that team wasn't necessarily there in the first place. You could argue that, but how do you explain like the fact that they are losing games that they ought to win that are really close with him? And I just think a more aggressive coach there would have been a better shot. They just kind of rushed in there in hiring him. I've got some things to tell you about the SEC. I have some thoughts about some of these opening games. Week 1 looks like it's going to be exciting. Sure, Tennessee's playing Appalachian State. So is that going to be the best thing that you've ever seen? No. But you've got an interesting matchup, right? With Vanderbilt and South Carolina. That's an interesting matchup. You've got another interesting matchup with Texas A&M playing UCLA. And then you've got Alabama taking on USC. I mean, those are some opening night matchups, and I want to talk a little bit about that, because if Appalachian State is going to set the tone for Tennessee this season, the way that Bowling Green set the tone for them last season and it didn't turn out great, if that's going to be a similar situation, then you've got to imagine that some of these more exciting games have quite a few ramifications themselves here with everything. But you're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. We'll get to all of that stuff right around the corner. Make sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Those are the places you can find us. Simply search Hot News Talk Radio and check us out in the TuneIn Radio app to catch all of your favorite shows. Clutch with Keon Rose, Best Shot with Russell Stroud, and even the Art Beat of Chattanooga. Make sure to check all of those things out. We'll be back.
Wars come and go, but my soldiers stay eternal.
Now you can listen to Hot News Talk Radio anywhere streaming live at Noogaradio.com. That's Noogaradio.com.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Hi, this is Mike at Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell, featuring over 6,000 square feet of unique and everyday wholesale items, discounted at, get this, 50 to 75% off of retail, from new and pre-owned tools to chainsaws and auto accessories. Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell.
Rumble in today to Diesel Off-Road Tech for a free diesel engine diagnostic to see what's holding you back. Your 4x4 is gasping like an old lady. It's hesitating. How can you possibly be the man you want to be? Diesel Off-Road is ready for you. 8 bays, 8 techs, plug in, get the $100 diagnostic of your major machine now. A bumper-to-bumper analysis with factory software tools. Free if you mention Cowherd or Hannity. Absolutely no charge. Want to bring a new look or better mileage to your truck or 4x4 off-road vehicle? Diesel Off-Road in Soddy Daisy is the 4-wheel specialist. Lift kits, customizing, all wheels, all tires, performance boosts, repair. Call 805-2800. Diesel's mechanics and techs have 100 years combined experience, making engines roar and exteriors sparkle. DieselOffroadTech.com. Call 805-2800.
This is Mike at For the Record at Northgate Mall. We're the largest complete record store in town. We sell old and new vinyl records, celebrity posters, music posters, and we are the largest in town. Come see us.
Expect mostly clear skies to continue through the nighttime. Overnight lows into the upper 60s and near 70. Now for your Wednesday, another hot and dry day with lots of sunshine, highs 92 to 95. For Thursday, though, an isolated afternoon shower storm may pop up, not as hot, near 90. Dr. Ron Phillips has released the most important book he's ever written, The Unraveling of America. He exposes those who are pulling the strings and unraveling the fabric of America, available at Amazon or ronphillips.org. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Core.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. Hot News Talk 1240.
Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. Ottawa rape case update. 3 juvenile suspects who were arrested and charged in December for the rape of Ottawa freshman basketball players in Gatlinburg are now set to go on trial in Sevier County Juvenile Court today. The 3 suspects are accused of assaulting 4 freshman players with a pool cue and what was initially called a hazing incident, now being called the Ottawa rape case. The victim was just 15 years old. A Chattanooga man has now been added to the TBI Top 10 Most Wanted after he was released by a judge and then a higher court rescinded that order of release. The man's name is Jareem Daniel Little. He's 40 years old. He's 6'1", about 278 pounds, a black male with black hair and brown eyes. TBI is wanting him. There's a $1,000 reward for information leading to his arrest. Cops say a 28-year-old woman set her boyfriend's house on fire with their young baby just 10 feet away from that fire. Investigators say the woman could have been a threat to herself and others while she was on the run. She's now behind bars. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
It is game week. NFL's right around the corner too. It's not this week, but we're very excited. The dress rehearsal game that was last weekend here in the NFL, and so you've got all that stuff. I'm looking forward to watching Texas on Sunday night. Texas plays some football. I'm very excited. They're going to play Notre Dame. Hopefully, my horns don't get curb stomped like last season. That there is some of the worst football I have seen. That is one of the worst football experiences I've had in recent memory. That was a hard watch, where you knew pretty early on in the game Notre Dame outclassed Texas, and you still had to sit there and watch it. I'm rooting for my guy Charlie Strong, man. I think he's a very good coach. I just don't know if he's going to have the time to sort out this stuff, because Texas was in a complete mess. But I want to jump into some NFL stuff really quickly. Show the Titans some love in the last segment. So let's talk about the Falcons a little bit. Got to give the Falcons some attention too, because they're going to be in a division where they've got a chance to be competitive. I don't think that, I'm actually more confident about the concept that the Titans could win the AFC South, which is tough. But I mean, when you look at how the Colts were winning the AFC South when they were winning it, how the Texans won it last year, 10 wins gets you the division. It's that kind of division. Okay, there's nobody running away with it here. 9-10 wins could get it for you. You've got to win those divisional games. Win more of them than you lose. Don't split them. And you've got a shot. I'm more confident of that than the Falcons winning their division with the Saints, who are just declining before our eyes. I mean, you see the decline of Drew Brees, but that offensive line has declined. That defense has never been good. It's been a bad defense for a while. I don't say never. When they won the Super Bowl, it was good, but after that, it hasn't been good. Tampa Bay, and then Carolina. And someone brought up an interesting question. I think it was Dave Damashek on NFL Network that was talking about Matt Ryan. And we have these conversations about Matt Ryan all the time, because we're not sure if a guy's. Sometimes we're just not sure if a player's actually good. Like, some players bring up controversy, but the controversial players, and I've said this before because this is my true opinion on it, controversial players tend to be controversial because we're not sure if they're good or not. If we're sure you're good, you tend to carry a whole lot less controversy. Like Michael Jordan, not a lot of controversy around Michael Jordan. More controversy around Kobe. Not because we weren't sure Kobe was good, but we weren't sure Kobe was Michael. A lot of controversy. And the same thing with LeBron. It's not that we're not sure LeBron's great. LeBron's fantastic. We're not sure he's Michael. When you start to get into a category where we're unsure of you, then the controversy starts. No controversy around Steph Curry. None whatsoever. Then Steph Curry wins the MVP. Then Steph Curry wins the MVP again. And we're not sure Steph's Michael. That's where the controversy comes from, when we're not sure. Tony Romo. Are we sure Tony Romo's a good quarterback? I think he is. You would find a lot of people that say he isn't. That would point to that he's injury prone. That would point to that he's interception prone. That would point to he has a tendency to lose big games. You point to all of those things and go, I don't think he's that good. So you've got a controversy. Tom Brady, no controversy. He's the best quarterback we've ever seen. Peyton Manning, no controversy. The only controversy surrounding Peyton Manning is that Peyton Manning wins a lot of regular season games, and he's got 2 Super Bowls. And before, he only had 1. The 1 Super Bowl is what is hampering this whole thing. And there was a point where Peyton looked like he was going to be Dan Marino and just have all the records and none of the rings, which adds to that controversy. Can you be good? Can you be great and have no rings? I think you can be, but you would find a lot of people who would say that you can't be. And so we're in a situation with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is possibly one of the more controversial, quote unquote, good quarterbacks, because we don't know if he's actually good. People outside of this area, people outside of the Falcons kind of TV zone area, right? People look at Matt Ryan and think that guy's been a solid quarterback. But people here that watch Matt Ryan don't get that same feeling. And part of it is, if he's so great, where are the wins? And there are other guys that get a lot of flack and a lot of criticism, but they've got no weapons around them. Like Andrew Luck has got T.Y. Hilton. And that's it. There's no weapons there. I don't know what those boys in San Francisco are going to do, but they're bad at receiver. There's no weapons there. Houston hit on DeAndre Hopkins because if they didn't have him, I don't know what to tell you. The Eli Manning and those Giants, right? You got what's his name with the hair? And then everybody else is always injured. Like, you've got one weapon. You look at what they've got down in Atlanta. Okay, for years you had Roddy White. He's obviously not there this season, but you had the talent there. You had Julio Jones. Julio Jones is, you could argue Julio Jones is the best receiver in the league. You really could. He is one of the fastest receivers in the league. He's got some of the best hands in the league. He is a freak athlete. You could argue nobody has got more talent than Matt Ryan. I mean, and they put out the money to try and get him offensive talent. Can Matt Ryan overcome what seems to be himself? Like, that's the only thing left to blame. To get the Falcons a win. To get the Falcons a win in this division and get them into the playoffs and finally win a playoff game. Because we're not sure if Matt Ryan is good. And the question has been put out there, is Matt Ryan, who we're not even sure if he's good, the worst quarterback in the division? And I was about to be like, no, he's not the worst quarterback in the division. And then I sat down and thought about the quarterbacks in that division, and I'm not sure. If you had to go through it, number one would have to be Cam Newton. Cam Newton's not just the best quarterback in the division by far. Cam Newton is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's top three because of what he can do running the football and throwing the football. He's got the same production passing the ball that everybody else has got, but then he also runs. The amount of touchdowns that he accounts for is obscene. Oh, and he did it last year without his best receiver. He didn't have Kelvin Benjamin. He didn't have him. So he did that without his best receiver. What's Cam going to look like this year? Cam's the best quarterback in the division, right? And then the next level down is Drew Brees. Drew Brees is an all-time great, Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, but declining in age. And I mean, he looks it. He looks like he's getting old, and he's behind an offensive line that also looks like it's getting old. And the talent around him just isn't as strong and developed as it was before. And I think that Sean Payton, his time as the gimmick master might be up. So with all of those things combined, you look at Drew Brees and you have to go, well, he's the second best quarterback in the division, but he's not like head and shoulders second best. He's in there because he's so accurate and has been so good for so long. But he suffered with some injuries last season, and coming back, I think his accuracy is going to suffer a little bit, but I think he's going to be great. He's Drew Brees. Drew Brizzle. Drew Breezy Breeze. All right, he's going to be all right. And now it's between Jameis Winston and Matt Ryan. And you want to give Matt Ryan the edge because Matt Ryan has been in the league longer. He's got the experience. He's been to the playoffs. No, he hasn't won any of those games, but he's been there. That means something. It does. But when you look at Jameis Winston, when you look at the weapons that Jameis has, when you look at the talent around Jameis, and then you look also at Jameis Winston's ceiling as a quarterback. Jameis Winston has the potential to be a better quarterback than Matt Ryan will ever be. What we see of Matt Ryan is what we're going to see. We're not going to see a new and improved Matt Ryan. We're not going to see a wildly, vastly different guy than the guy that we've got. This is the Matt Ryan we know, and we're stuck with him. And trust me, there are a ton of teams in the league that would kill you for Matt Ryan. They would love to have a guy as stable as Matt Ryan. But Matt Ryan has hit his ceiling. This guy that you look at and you're not sure if he's good, and if you look at his numbers all across the board, ranges from slightly above average to just average, that's as good as it gets. That's where we're at. We're not going to get better than this. And you look over across the street at Tampa Bay and what they've got with Jameis Winston, and Jameis Winston is out here putting up numbers. Jameis Winston is out here looking like a professional NFL quarterback most nights, and you have to think he can get better than this. He was a rookie. As a rookie. And Jameis Winston came understanding what a pro-style offense was. I think the speed of the NFL caught him a little bit off guard. But Jameis Winston came out knowing what the deal was. And he's only going to get better, which has to make you feel a little bit salty as a Falcons fan. I think you could make the legitimate argument. I wouldn't. I would take Jameis Winston in his second year is still not as good as Matt Ryan is now. But you could make the legitimate argument that Matt Ryan is not as good as Jameis Winston and could be the worst quarterback in the NFC South. That is a legitimate case to be made. And it's not one that any of us want to hear. Like, Falcons fans really don't want to hear any of that noise because they have enough of that self-doubt already, where you started the season last year 6-0 and you couldn't believe your unbelievable luck with this team. You get a new head coach, Dan Quinn, and all of a sudden your team is on fire. And then they just got cold and didn't win again really until they beat the Panthers at the end of the season. And by that point, the Panthers were already 15-0. I mean, they'd already locked up their playoff spot. You're looking at a team where you're not sure what you're going to get. I think you're going to get a lot of intensity on defense, but I mean, you look after that 6-game stretch, the turnovers went down. Okay, early in the season, you look at it, they recovered a lot of fumbles. Fumbles happen in large part because of luck. Okay, you just there's a little bit of luck involved. You're not going to be able to rely on that week in and week out. You've got to make people pay for turning the ball over. The Falcons did not always do that. Julio Jones cannot necessarily be game planned out of a game, but you can manage Julio. So Matt Ryan's got to beat you with the other options. And he just has not been doing that. And it's hard. You'd be hard-pressed to think that if you put Jameis Winston on the Atlanta Falcons and gave him Julio Jones and all of the twisting and manipulating that Julio Jones does to a defense in order for them to be able to cover him, and gave him Julio Jones, would they not be better off on some level? Because I think they might be. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Make sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You have to check us out there because we post the best in your local news and information, and we're keeping you updated on everything local, including the Ottawa rape case that has been developing. We're seeing some of the juveniles there taken to court over that horrific incident that happened last December during a basketball tournament with some players raping one of their teammates. And they had an entire culture of hazing that allowed this to be possible, and not enough adults looking in the right direction. And so we're on top of that here at Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. Make sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And for your mobile needs, make sure to check us out on the TuneIn Radio app as well. That's the TuneIn Radio app, which is completely free in your favorite app store. Simply search Hot News Talk Radio in the app, give us a favorite, and press play. You'll have Hot News Talk Radio everywhere you go, and you get this show, Clutch with Keon Rose. You get Sean Hannity. You get Colin Cowherd. You get the Art Beat of Chattanooga. You get the Ben and Sabrina Home Show. You get Best Shot with Russell Stroud. What more do you want? You also get America's Morning News and CBS Radio at the top of every hour. CBS News, the most trusted name in news. So what do you want? What more do you want? We've got you covered. Anywho, college football season, week 1 is going to be fantastic. It's going to be darn near incredible. My favorite thing about what's happening here in college football is some of these opening games are just absolutely electrifying. Now, some of these games are a little bit troublesome for some schools, right? Like if you're Auburn and you're Gus Malzahn, you know for a fact that your life is about to be hell. You're playing Clemson. And Gus Malzahn, I mean, you're talking about a list of people on hot seats. Gus Malzahn's seat is the hottest. If he doesn't make it this year, if he doesn't look good this year, he's gone. And you know that Auburn doesn't have any trouble whatsoever pulling the trigger on firing a head coach. They do not care. They will put you down. And Gus Malzahn has been relatively disappointing as head coach of the Auburn Tigers. A job that he got in large part because it was his offense they were running when they won the national title. And it's starting to look more and more every single day like they should have given that head coaching job to Cam Newton and also let him stay a player, because Cam Newton is the reason why Gus Malzahn has a job. Cam Newton's the reason Gus Malzahn has a job. That offense was not Gus Malzahn's machinations. That offense was not Gus. That offense was give the ball to Cam and watch amazing stuff happen. We all saw the LSU game after Thanksgiving with Cam Newton making dudes look horrible. Like he was untackleable in that game. It was not possible to bring him down. And I've never seen a quarterback do that. And I'm a Longhorn fan. I watched Vince Young. I've never seen a guy impossible to tackle in that way, where you would hit him and you just bounced off him. It was like bullets flying off of Superman. You couldn't stop him. That's why Gus Malzahn has a job at Auburn. And every year that Auburn doesn't progress, doesn't look better on offense, doesn't look competent on offense, they're having trouble finding a quarterback. Is Sean White a guy for them? We don't know. And then you got to run into Clemson week 1. Look, Tennessee's going to learn a lot of things about themselves from Appalachian State. I don't remember the name of Appalachian State's quarterback at this moment, but he's a very good quarterback. Recruited to a lot of schools. He's not a scrub. But the receivers there aren't great. So, I mean, you should still learn a lot. And also, Appalachian State can really run. They're a great running school. So, I don't know exactly. I mean, you can learn a lot from Tennessee in this game, but I don't know exactly what you're supposed to learn if you're Auburn playing Clemson, except that you're not as good as Clemson. That's a great lesson that you're going to learn. You're going to learn it, and you're going to learn it really fast. Because Clemson is hungry this year. Deshaun Watson is going to come out balling because he wants the Heisman. He wants it. And you're not going to learn anything really about yourself. Try not to be beaten too badly. Like, make this thing look like a game. That's all I got for you. Gus Malzahn's going to learn exactly how close he is to losing his job. That's what he's going to learn from this game. Alabama and USC, things to learn from this game. Just watching Alabama on a huge stage. And also, one thing to learn from this game isn't even an Alabama thing so much, even though there is an Alabama question, which I'll get to in a second. It's SEC versus Pac-12. We're going to have a couple of these matchups to start the week. Start week 1, and I'm interested in seeing how that looks like. How bad is this mismatch? Because to be clear, Alabama is better than USC. I think we can all unanimously agree that the Crimson Tide are better than the Trojans by a lot. They're just a better team in about every single way, except arguably quarterback. And when has that mattered for Alabama? Really, it hasn't. And I'm interested in seeing what it is that the Crimson Tide do, because we saw it last year, right? We have these comparisons between different leagues. SEC versus Big Ten is a big one because I think that people feel like the Big Ten is like the SEC, just in the north. They just play where it's cold. And then Alabama and Wisconsin met up at the beginning of last season, and Alabama gave Wisconsin the beatdown. A beatdown from which it took about half a season for Wisconsin to recover, by which time the season was lost for them. The season was lost for them. Michigan was in the hunt. Michigan State was in the hunt. Iowa State was in the hunt. Wisconsin was nowhere to be found because basically Alabama erased them from history. That team looked promising at the beginning of the year. That was a top 25 school. Alabama brought the lumber to that game, and we didn't see Wisconsin for half a season. I don't know where they went. And I watch Big Ten football. Have no idea where they went. Ohio State was also in the mix. A lot of Big Ten schools were in the mix. just not Wisconsin, because they got schlacked. And I wonder if that's going to happen to the USC Trojans, the Southern California Trojans, if that's going to happen. Y'all just going to roll up on Alabama and just get smacked around. And then we don't see USC. We see a lot of Pac-12 schools in the mix. We see we might see a little bit of Oregon until they stumble a little bit later on, possibly. We're going to see a little bit of UCLA, possibly. You're going to see some Utah. You know what I mean? We're not going to see USC. We're not going to know where they went. That's an interesting one to me. And then speaking of UCLA, Texas A&M versus UCLA. Texas A&M to me is the school that is an all or nothing pick. Either Texas A&M is better than we think they are, and they're your pick to win the SEC West, and they're just sneaky good, which is possible, by the way. I'm not saying that facetiously. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm being dead serious. It's possible. The Texas A&M is better than we think they are because they look good on paper. And if you give Kevin Sumlin a solid quarterback again, can he win you football games again? Because it's been a while since he's had a guy that was as dynamic as Johnny Manziel. Trevor Knight is no Johnny Football, but Trevor Knight's real good. Can A&M win again? Against a UCLA team that offensively might be one of the best teams in the country. UCLA is very good, and they're underrated on defense. And Jim Mora Jr. has got a solid football team over at UCLA, but I like this SEC versus Pac-12 battle to start the season because it's going to put some questions to rest because I think a lot of people would just like the SEC to not be good already. Just you guys are too cocky and arrogant over there. You think your teams are all the best. They are all the best. What, are you not watching the bowl games? There's more SEC teams than anybody else. But we're going to put that to rest finally. There's a lot of comparisons between the Big Ten and the SEC. The similar styles of play, a lot of emphasis on running. We don't necessarily have the greatest quarterbacks, that kind of deal. And the Pac-12's flashy. So it's going to be a style versus substance kind of deal where the Pac-12 is trying to prove that this flash is not just all flash. This is legit. This is the real deal. Because people have been trying to crown the Pac-12 as the best conference in football for a while now, and I don't know that they might be too hasty on that. They might be just a little bit ahead of themselves. And if we see it in this week one, I would be so excited if Texas A&M just brought it to UCLA and Alabama just erased USC from history. Because we saw them do it to Wisconsin, and all of a sudden that Big Ten SEC conversation didn't really continue the way that it had gone on previously. It kind of shut up a little bit there for a while. Like, oh yeah, no. Alabama's for real. They're not playing around. You're listening to the Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. Thank you for joining me today. Remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch. I'll see you in 24 hours, but don't go anywhere. Sons of Liberty up next.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing the new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
With every election, the government always gets in. You're right to be angry. We have no free market, red tape everywhere, taxes crushing. There's no level playing field. Tomorrow may be a day of reckoning, but there is something you can do. It's personal safety, personal security, shooter supply and indoor range. Find the handgun or long gun suitable to you. Take a concealed carry permit class. Use Shooter's roomy indoor private shooting range. Get expert personal advice. Shooter Supply fights boldly against big boxes. It helps people understand firearms. A free republic has become a despotism. Let them choke on their swag. For us, we invest in personal safety. In the Second Amendment, fight back, shop local. The country is in a desperate situation, but you don't have to be. Shooter Supply, love your neighbor, buy local. 875-4868. 875-4868. Shooters-range.com. Shop shooters-range.com. Think about the future. What about your kids?
Whole body vibration really works for weight loss, pain relief, circulation, and building bone density. Go to Lily's as seen on TV and talk to Dottie at the Gun Barrel Road store and Robert at the 153 Hickson location. 10 minutes equals 1 hour walking. It really works.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducks. Call now.
Rubber's tough, but foam rubber is soft. Foam rubber is the star at Stuff It Upholstery, which uses it to revive your couch, your embarrassing easy chair, your boat seat cushions. Stuff It Foam Rubber in Hickson covers Chattanooga and surrounding areas. Don't throw out that favorite easy chair that's grown haggard and barbaric. New life for your seat cushions. Premium auto-grade rubber foam for your restaurant, church, or business. Stuff It Upholstery brings comfort and relief. Go ahead, skid away from flat, dull, and droopy cushions. Relax, restore, revive. When comfort matters, stuff it. 4608 Hickson Pike, 877-1616. Ask for Larry. That's 877-1616.
I'm Larry Daniels from Daniels Insurance, and on the average, our customers save $400 a year. We offer retirement vehicles and annuities in addition to other investment products that help you protect your family. Call 423-332-4774.
Finding just the right place to live can be a daunting task. Stop your search. In Chattanooga, the place to live is Cross Creek Villas for under $1,000 and available for immediate move-in. You can enjoy this 2-bedroom split layout, over 1,000 square feet, 9-foot ceilings, an extra large patio or balcony. And don't forget to ask about their preferred employer program. Cross Creek Villas is a gated community offering a 24-hour fitness facility, a beautiful pool and hot tub, and Cross Creek Villas is pet friendly. Stroll the pet park with your best friend and enjoy the free use of their business center and clubhouse. Plus, if you mention you heard this on the radio, your application fee is free. Cross Creek Villas, close to downtown off of Highway 58. Go to crosscreekchattanooga.com. That's crosscreekchattanooga.com or call 894-0446. That's 894-0446. Redefine the way you live at Cross Creek Villas. Go to crosscreekchattanooga.com or call 894-0446. Cross Creek Villas.
When the weather turns bad, turn to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. On the net, hotnewstalkradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. From the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Chattanooga, we've got you covered. When the weather turns bad, the Tennessee Valley turns to Hot News Talk Radio.
Go. You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga.
A top ISIS leader reportedly has been taken out.
Al-Adnani was the person who most publicly and visibly called for lone wolf attacks.
North Carolina, Hawaii, and Florida are bracing for storms.
We are going to have flooding. We're going to get a lot of rain. We're going to have rip currents.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Gary Nunn. A major ISIS figure reportedly has been killed in Syria. He is Abu Muhammad al-Adnani, spokesman for the Islamic State and mastermind of external terrorist operations. CBS News correspondent David Martin at the Pentagon.
The news agency which ISIS uses to put out information has said he was killed, and those news reports surfaced shortly after an American airstrike against a senior ISIS leader that occurred this morning near the Syrian city of Aleppo.
Adnani reportedly and publicly visibly called for lone wolf attacks against Westerners. The ocean is angry tonight. 2 tropical depressions are taking aim at parts of Florida and North Carolina, one in the Gulf of Mexico, one in the Atlantic. No concern by this woman in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina.
We're here early. We got here at 9:30 to beat the coming storm, but it's beautiful.
Same for this surfer.
Just from all the wind, and I don't know, the water's warm, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, I don't know. I like it anyways. Yeah.
A tropical storm warning is up for much of the Outer Banks. The storm about 70 miles south of Cape Hatteras. Another storm west of Key West, Florida. A hurricane watch now posted. Governor Rick Scott.
We are going to have flooding. We're going to get a lot of rain. We're going to have rip currents.
A hurricane is closing in on Hawaii.
We have a monster, Hurricane Madeline, headed towards Hawaii, and it is expected to move near or across the Big Island as we head into the middle of the week around Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
WFOR TV meteorologist Lizette Gonzalez. More than 24 911 calls from the Pulse nightclub massacre in Florida released today, revealing the desperation of some of the victims.
I'm Peter King in Orlando. The calls range from informational to frantic. This man calling after hearing from his son.
He's still in the bathroom when he's bleeding. He got shot. And nobody's going in for him.
So do you know which one he's in?
I don't know what bathroom, no. Nobody's going in for him.
Many of the calls came from people who'd been texting with loved ones trapped inside Pulse. Sheriff's dispatchers got this when they tried to transfer calls to city police who were overwhelmed that morning. Peter King, CBS News, Orlando.
49 people killed, 53 injured in the June 12th incident. Stocks today closing lower. The Dow fell 48 points, ending the day at 18,454. Now this.
If you're familiar with cloud computing, you probably know that Amazon Web Services offers a complete set of secure compute, storage, application, and deployment services that help companies launch and scale their IT infrastructures while lowering costs. But did you know that you're still responsible for protecting your own AWS-based assets, meaning your applications and data, from advanced cyber threats? Protect your AWS with Barracuda Network's advanced firewall solutions. Visit AWS Marketplace or barracuda.com/AWS to learn more.
If you're not getting cash back for shopping, you're missing out. Download Ibotta now. IBOTTA. It's the hottest app to earn cash on everyday purchases on groceries, apparel, electronics, beer, wine and spirits, restaurants, and more. Just unlock, shop, and get cash. Download Ibotta today, free from the App Store, and for a limited time, get $10 just for trying it. IBOTTA. For cash back every time you shop, you've gotta Ibotta.
There are fresh indications tonight that hackers are determined to break into U.S. election systems. CBS News correspondent Dan Raviv.
A federal government official tells CBS News that for months there have been attempts to get into registration lists. No word anyone sees the ability to change the vote counts. The official, remaining anonymous, acknowledges the Department of Homeland Security has gotten a late start, but now is advising on making passwords and hardware breach-proof. The FBI revealed this week there were cyber break-ins at 2 state election boards. Officials confirmed those were Illinois and Arizona. Some officials blame Russian hackers. Dan Raviv, CBS News, Washington.
It's primary day in Arizona and Florida. Senator John McCain had a tough fight with former State Senator Kelly Ward. Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio facing 3 challengers. And Florida Republican Governor Marco Rubio trying to hang on to his job. You're listening to the CBS World
News Talk 1240 AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your chance to win $124 in cash and $124 in food every week with the Hot News Talk Radio 1, 2, 3 NASCAR contest. Hot News Talk 1240. All you have to do is guess who's going to be first, second, and third place in the upcoming NASCAR Sprint Cup race. If you guess it, you'll hear your name live Monday morning at 11:30. Then call AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio to win. Enter your guess right now at Rick Davis Golden Diamonds, 5301 Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. Wimpy's Restaurant in Soddy Daisy across from City Hall. Diesel Off-Road Technology Soddy Daisy for your 4-wheel drive and truck needs. Stuff and upholstery with premium rubber foam. Cell Surgeon, the Broken Screen Doc. And Shooter's Supply, 4824 Hickson Pike in Hickson. Hot News Talk 1240. Enter your guesses now and listen to the race live to win $124 in cash and $124 in food from Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station. Hot News Talk 1240.
I love NASCAR.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt
Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network. Coverage continues Sunday. Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out this Sunday live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Baton Rouge news photographer Patrick Perry being called a hero tonight. He was with TV reporter Brittany Weiss heading to cover a story when the car in front of them swerved off the road and caught fire.
Hold on tight.
How close? Is there any kids in there?
Perry of ABC affiliate WBRZ stopped and pulled both to safety. Time on the roundup is 7 minutes past the hour.
Napa know-how. A Napa guy knows that by the foot, there's no better ride than an old station wagon. Room for 6 people facing forward, 2 people facing backward, and a whole lot of luggage, lumber, and bicycles haphazardly strapped to the roof. If you can parallel park that beast, you can park anything. And with some quality parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep your land ship running longer, stronger. It's not obsolete. It's a rare treasure. That's Napa know-how. Napa know-how.
This is Charles Osgood. Auto Owners Insurance was founded in 1916, 3 years before cars had automatic windshield wipers. You wouldn't want to drive a car today without wipers, so you should never drive without Auto Owners by your side. Let our independent local agents help you with all your auto, home, life, or business insurance needs. Find your agent at AutoOwners.com. Auto Owners Insurance, 100 years of putting people first. Find your local independent agent at AutoOwners.com. That's AutoOwners.com.
A half dozen agriculture department offices in 5 states were closed today following a series of anonymous threats. CBS News correspondent Pam Coulter reports.
Agriculture employees at 6 facilities, including a sprawling research center in suburban Maryland, have been told to stay home until further notice. Authorities are investigating anonymous threats to determine if they're credible. White House spokesman Josh Earnest said they're taking prudent steps.
The Department of Agriculture is working closely with the Department of Homeland Security to ensure the safety of their offices and the personnel that work there. I don't have any additional detail about the nature of the threat.
USDA workers have been told to stay alert and report suspicious activity. Pam Coulter, CBS News, the White House.
In Chicago, festering gang wars have made it the deadliest August in almost 20 years. 78 people killed this month, according to a Chicago Tribune analysis. And that's the CBS World News Roundup for Tuesday, August 30th, 2016. I'm Gary Nunn, CBS News.
Some phone calls. Now, keep in mind, I wasn't able to pick them up right off the bat because we have our team down at the Minnesota State Fair. If you're in the state of Minnesota, go to the grandstand at the Minnesota State Fair and say hello to the crew that's down there. I have Comrack Stack set up here, which means I go back and forth in my dialogue. And noticing that we had some callers yesterday that hung on for quite a long time, do forgive me. I'm doing my best to cover the bases concerning the topics within the hour that I've got. So again, I love when you call in. Do forgive me for yesterday's negligence, dereliction of duty, might you say, or might I say. Do forgive me. I just encourage you to call in again today, friends, because again, we love you. What you have to say, many times when you call in, the topic in which you bring often steers the rest of the radio show. If you'd like to call in, please do. Again, forgive me for yesterday, 1-866-582-9933, 1-866-582-9933. If you would like to jump online and check us out, we're going to go to Sons of Liberty Media in just a couple of moments. Go to sonsoflibertyradio.com and or sonsoflibertymedia.com. Again, sonsoflibertyradio.com and or sonsoflibertymedia.com. Those 2 pages interact one with another. Or you can go over to Facebook, Bradley Dean, double-E, Bradley Dean on Facebook. My Twitter account, again, for what it's worth, Bradley Dean 1 double-E, Bradley Dean 1 double-E on my Twitter account. Folks, what we're going to be talking about today is let me make the songs of a nation. I care not for who makes its laws. That was Plato. Quoted by Grote. We've also heard that Socrates said, let me write the music of a nation. I care not for who writes its laws, for I will control the people. Well, yesterday we were talking about the quarterback from the 49ers that refused to stand up for the national anthem. And we also found out that he was also recently converted to Islam, and before he took an anti-American stance. I want you to understand, like Abraham Lincoln said, love him or hate him, he was right when he said, whoever wants to change, or whoever controls the public opinion can change the government. You need to understand, like the musicians and the sports heroes of the day, the sports gods of the American people today, do keep in mind that they are the real legislators. So we're going to be talking about that today, because oftentimes you'll see those that are on the television set begin to advocate what legislators in government, namely the corrupt, mean to overthrow concerning the laws of our constitutional republic. And we're going to get to a whole plethora of details and the branches on that tree when we get over there in just a couple moments. But before we do, I want to let you know that if you're the first time listener to the Sons of Liberty Radio.com, do remember that this is the radio show where we think for ourselves and make not the others the measure of our conduct. And why is that, you might ask? Because I answer, it's a terrible place to be when your brains are in someone else's head. True that. We're turning talk radio into do radio. I also wanted to give you a shout out really quick. We're going to be in California next week. We're at the State Fair in Minnesota this month. We were just in Nashville last week. The up and coming 3 months, if you would like to book us to come into your community and shake, rattle, and roll, as William Booth, the founder of the Salvation Army, rightly said, if you want to change the future, you're going to have to trouble the present. If you don't want to do that and you would have us do that, go ahead and give us a call, 1-866-233-0747, 1-866-233-0747. We are booked out 3 months in advance continuously, and that's where we're at right now, starting out at the end of this year, beginning of the fall here, okay? Folks, let's jump over to sonsoflibertymedia.com. Let's highlight some of the things that our national columnists and contributors are actually writing about. On the sonsoflibertymedia.com, again, here we go again, friends. The retired General Clinton and Obama, both sides of the same coin, friends, refused to hear intelligence that did not fit their happy talk narrative about the Middle East. Folks, your enemy is this administration. America, your enemy is this administration. There's no other way to get around it, friends. Again, we judge the fruit by its, we judge the tree by its fruit, and we can see the fruit and the corruption hanging all over this corrupt administration, as well as this corrupt administration that preceded, and the one that preceded that as well, and the one that preceded that as well. We can keep going back. But friends, we can right the wrongs because we still have the freedom and we still have the power to do so as one nation under God. Sons of Liberty Media.com. Peter Schiff, a healthy Hillary scares me far more than a sick Hillary, friends. We know that we're dealing with a corrupt politician. We know that we are dealing with a Judas within, friends. And we need to lawfully deal with her, because if we fail to do that, you're going to be dealt with in an unsatisfactory method, friends. Let me tell you, either again, you're going to be ruled by the word of God, or you're going to be ruled by a tyrant. And keep in mind, again, our forefathers, John Adams, the second president, the third president, Thomas Jefferson, along with, did I say Tom? I'm sorry, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, and the such folks. They were the ones that told us resistance towards tyrants is obedience to God. So therefore, we need to begin to resist and protest and actually drop the law upon these criminals unto judgment to establish righteousness. Because again, as it says on the back of the Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C., above the heads of the Supreme Court injustices in the present, friends, justice is the guardian of liberty. Sons of Liberty Media.com, the need for guns and self-defense is needed now more than ever. Folks, of course, that has everything in the world to do with who we are as a people. But this contributor is actually talking about more than ever in Paris, and in Germany, and in Belgium. Now, I also want people to understand that common sense comes into play. A guy with a gun, a criminal's going to avoid. That's just what it is, right? Let's call it for what it is, and that's how it works. But what we're seeing, folks, is we're seeing overseas in European law. I mean, it's just some of the sickest things I've ever seen in my life. We have a knife-wielding Muslim chasing the cops, and the cops refuse to shoot him because they don't want to harm him because he can be rehabilitated, say they. You want to talk about a sick, reprobate mind? Let me tell you this. The mercies of the wicked are cruel, and they are to a society at large, because the law over there is no longer law, it's lawlessness, and that's exactly what you're beginning to see bleed into our system of law in the United States of America, and it needs to be stopped now. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back, and we're going to be talking about the real legislators. Who are they? Folks, it's going to surprise you. And hopefully not, because we got some thinkers that are listening to the Sons of Liberty Radio.com. Let me write the music of a nation. I care not for who writes its laws, for I will control its people. Is it true? Oh, you better bet your bottom dollar it's true. Sons of Liberty Radio.com, 1-866-582-9933.
0.5% of church funding actually goes towards our posterity. And of the funding that is given, only 3% actually goes towards reaching the lost, and the rest of the money goes toward reaching the already churched. That's unthinkable. We all know that our posterity are the future and hope of America, so why are funds not being allocated to them? For the past 20 years, we here at the Sons of Liberty have been fighting the good fight of faith on a daily basis to make sure that freedom is preserved for both young and old across America. Public school principals, tea parties, detention centers, prisons, and more from across the United States have spoken of our program as the most powerful message that has ever been conveyed to those in attendance. If you desire to be a part of this work, then join together with those across America who have become sons and daughters of liberty. What that means is you support this work on a monthly basis. It's as easy as going to sonsoflibertyradio.com or sonsoflibertymedia.com and click that button that says Become a Son or Daughter of Liberty. Our posterity can't wait. The time to restore America is now.
We had a government takeover of our health.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hi, this is Mike at Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell, featuring over 6,000 square feet of unique and everyday wholesale items discounted at, get this, 50 to 75% off of retail, from new and pre-owned tools to chainsaws and auto accessories. Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell.
With every election, the government always gets in. You're right to be angry. We have no free market, red tape everywhere, taxes crushing. There's no level playing field. Tomorrow may be a day of reckoning, but there is something you can do. It's personal safety, personal security, shooter supply and indoor range. Find the handgun or long gun suitable to you. Take a concealed carry permit class. Use Shooter's roomy indoor private shooting range. Get expert personal advice. Shooter Supply fights boldly against big boxes. It helps people understand firearms. A free republic has become a despotism. Let them choke on their swag. For us, we invest in personal safety. In the Second Amendment, fight back, shop local. The country is in a desperate situation, but you don't have to be. Shooter Supply, love your neighbor, buy local. 875-4868, 875-4868, shooters-range.com. Shop shooters-range.com. Think about the future. What about your kids?
Rumble in today to Diesel Off-Road Tech for a free diesel engine diagnostic to see what's holding you back. Your 4x4 is gasping like an old lady. It's hesitating. How can you possibly be the man you want to be? Diesel Off-Road is ready for you. 8 bays, 8 techs, plug in, get the $100 diagnostic of your major machine now. A bumper-to-bumper analysis with factory software tools. Free if you mention Cowherd or Hannity. Absolutely no charge. Want to bring a new look or better mileage to your truck or 4x4 off-road vehicle? Diesel Off-Road in Saudi Daisy is the 4-wheel specialist. Lift kits, customizing, all wheels, all tires, performance boosts, repair. Call 805-2800. Diesel's mechanics and techs have 100 years combined experience making engines roar and exteriors sparkle. DieselOffroadTech.com. Call 805-2800.
Whole body vibration really works for weight loss, pain relief, circulation, and building bone density. Go to Lily's as seen on TV and talk to Dottie at the Gun Barrel Road store and Robert at the 153 Hickson location. 10 minutes equals 1 hour walking. It really works.
We're at the Cantina at Amigos Mexican Restaurant. Yes, sir. 2 orders of nachos with beef and beans, 2 beers. Chattanooga loves its Amigos restaurants, but the Amigos in Hickson has something extra. NASCAR. Every race. How about a house wine? Really good. Big name beers, just tell Maria what you want. And here at Amigos, margaritas are popular, and it's only $3 all day. If you come here on a race day, Sunday, a Natty Light is only $2.25. Here at Amigos, just during NASCAR, Natty Light, $2.25. Amigos Mexican Restaurant in Hickson. The happy hour is 3 to 9 today and every day. I'd say the atmosphere is festive. Look at that huge TV. It's like being amid the fans, under a bright sun, but no gasoline fumes, no heat. Stay cool. Quench your thirst. Amigos between Staples and Hobby Lobby. take the next table to mine. Enjoy the NASCAR race with friend or family here at the Cantina at Amigos Mexican Restaurant. Okay, it's started.
Drivers, start your engines.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
But while I was at this conference in Washington, D.C. that I was invited to, an individual there who asked me what I did. And after I told him what I did in that particular time, I was doing high school assemblies across the country, and that alone, I told him, well, I do high school assemblies all across the country. And I think he was the president of Pepperdine College, I believe, in California. And, everybody's got their suits on, and everybody's, got their hair all slicked back, and they got their nice ties on and their nice shiny shoes on. And, well, here comes Bradley, 6'5", hair down to my backside, tattoos up and down, right? A musician, first and foremost, a preacher, becoming all things to all men to win the Lord of Christ through experience. And that's why David said, I know more than the ancients because I keep the testimonies of the Lord. See, I didn't apply for the job. I'm just responding to the call. These guys applied for the job, and that's why they're worthless for the most part. But let me tell you this. When I went to this conference in Washington, D.C., and was asked by this Pepperdine College professor, I believe he's the president, as a matter of fact, he said, what do you do? I said, I do high school assemblies across the country. After I told him, well, he kind of looked down on my profession just like the next generation does that receives my message. I then asked him what his favorite band was. In other words, he just looked at me like, it's irrelevant. God chose the foolish things of the world to confound that which is wise, and the weak things of the world to confound that which is mighty. But he doesn't understand that. See, he thinks he's all above everybody else. He thinks that he's a cooler than sliced bread. He's above the rest of us because he's a professor or a president for Pepperdine College in California. So when I told him I did high school assemblies, and keep in mind, friends, it's our posterity, again, that's being subjected to everything and protected from nothing. They're completely being overlooked by these people that think they know better than everybody else. So when I told him that, well, I'm a drummer for Junkyard Prophet. We bring a band into the public schools, and we win their respect, and then we go off for 2 to 3 hours, and literally during that assembly program or that lyceum, you can hear a pin drop